qualche domanda sulla sinistra.
Complimenti, mi ricollego ai colleghi. In quale dei personaggi che hai interpretato ti identifichi maggiormente tra tutti? Tipo tra il lato positivo, Gelino Inverno.
I'm having a moment where I can't remember what films I've done. Probably, I did a very small movie and had a very small role in a movie called Like Crazy. That was an improv movie. So that character was probably more like me because those words were coming out of my head. And there were a lot of moments, I feel like it felt very natural when playing Tiffany in Silver Linings because of her energy. I didn't necessarily believe in or agree with some of her logic. I don't think that we're very alike, but on an energy scale, I don't know. I felt pretty similar. Most of the time with characters, I played one character that I couldn't perform without, I was drinking Red Bulls and caffeine because she was just on a constant wave of energy, and then some characters like Katniss are a lot more subdued than I am. And I felt like Tiffany and I were kind of on the same energy wave, but probably the character I most like is Samantha from Like Crazy. That's also because I can't really remember the rest of my movies.
Another question for Jennifer. Jennifer, you've mentioned quite a bit lately about the pressure in Hollywood to be thin and skinny and the pressure on young girls. I wonder what your current take is on body image and what you think, what sort of message you'd like to send to young people.
Well, now I just feel like I'm repeating myself. You're already clapping. Thank you. I guess that's all. When I was first getting started, that was a huge part of it. I didn't grow up. I was always doing sports growing up. I had brothers. I didn't even know I had no idea how to diet or any of that until I started acting. And then, I would do some movies with the producers, and people would, tell me to lose weight, and I was so young, and that's such a kind of painful thing to hear at such a young age. And I remember that really kind of breaking my heart, because it's hard to hear that you need to lose weight when you don't think that you're fat, like when you are perfectly fine with your body. And I feel like, and then I know that I'm not the only one. I know that there are lots of filmmakers that have this idea of this unobtainable, perfect body image, and they put those unobtainable pressures on people. And people are watching us, actors, and looking at our bodies and thinking that, and comparing themselves to Photoshop pictures and celebrities who have, personal trainers and, eat at Whole Foods every day. I don't know where they eat. And I feel like the media refuses to take responsibility for the effect that we have on society and the younger generation when we talk about each other in the way that we do, and we judge people in all the wrong ways. It seems like all of the values are in all of the wrong things, and I'm so tired of hearing women call other women fat. I mean, we've had to deal with, I think we have to think about the way that we talk about each other, and I think that we need to change the way that we see beauty, and I'm sick of diets.
Volevo chiedere al regista e agli altri interpreti come ci si sente ad aver realizzato, ad aver interpretato un film in cui ci sono delle manifestazioni di culto e di divismo al suo interno che somigliano molto a quelle che succedono al suo esterno. Cioè, è impressionante vedere come questo film abbia generato un divismo intorno ai personaggi che un pochino somiglia a quello di cui sono oggetto in quanto personaggi e protagonisti di questa trasmissione, diciamo, mediatica che caratterizza tutta questa nazione e che influenza profondamente questa società.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, you know, being able to board this franchise and being able to help tell these stories was really exciting to me, just because of what the source material brought into the world. You know, Suzanne Collins really did something interesting, and she had an idea to tell a story about the consequence of war and the consequence of violence to teenagers. And she didn't treat them like children, and I think that helped aid the fact that teenagers then really started to soak it up, and it crossed over into the adult world. But the amazing thing is that it became this phenomenon, and you have this, or we have this ability to tell these stories that people around the world are going to see in droves, and for it to actually have some meaning and be something and have reflections in it of the world that we live in couldn't be more exciting to me.
Yeah, you know, I think that it's not very often that you get to be a part of something that becomes so known and successful that also has so much meaning and weight behind it, like Francis was saying. You know, I think one of the coolest things about being an actor is being able to tell interesting, unique stories and with great characters and characters that develop in very real ways. And a lot of times you find that more in the indie world and the indie type movies, and which I love so much. And then to find a story like this that has such a mass appeal and it's such a complex story with such core values and themes throughout about love and family and fighting for what you believe in, you know, it's a rare thing. And so for me to be a part of it, it's absolutely incredible. And the fans for the Hunger Games have been so supportive from day one. And really they give us so much energy and drive to keep on going when we're on these victory tours of ours that are very tiring. So it's amazing to be part of it, really.
Prego, signora, no, sopra. Scusa, c'era prima lei, si era prenotata. Grazie. Poi ti arriva a te.
Buongiorno, una domanda per Jennifer Lawrence e anche per gli altri attori. Volevo chiedere, a proposito di Hunger Games, lei entra e esce da questo personaggio ormai da un paio di anni. Vorrei sapere che cosa prova questo ritrovare questo personaggio, che cosa la lega a questo personaggio, e se ci racconta, perché deve essere, lei praticamente ha a che fare con un film dove sono soprattutto effetti speciali, quindi cosa vuol dire lavorare in un film tutto effetti speciali? Grazie.
I just said
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We got no. I'll do it. You want to do it?
Well,
why don't we all talk at the same time? Okay. Well, I think it's
try to
over and over.
You're welcome.
You know, as an actor, it's a really incredible opportunity to get to play, to get to grow and change. Why are you laughing? Were you about to talk?
Yeah.
I started talking.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Oh my God, do I talk or not? It's driving me crazy, giving me a stomachache. But to get to grow with the character is a really interesting thing, because just at the beginning of this movie, you know, she's completely changed. She's gone through a huge life-changing event. She's been forced to kill people. It's absolutely destroyed her. She's suffering from post-traumatic stress. So it's exciting to get to come back and play a character like that. And she's also just a really incredible character. As far as special effects go, it doesn't really affect me because I'm using the same tools I do in acting is using your imagination. So working with CG is just continuing to imagine something.
Il ragazzo lì per favore e poi la ragazza.
Ci sono loro. Aspetta,
Oh my
Mario.
God, you guys have to talk now.
No, we don't.
I wanted to talk, and then someone else started talking.
Oh my God.
Tell us about your character and how he changes from the first to second film, what it's like to be playing a role.
Well, my character for me,
I'm glad you asked, Josh.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I've been wanting to tell you all about it.
I know you have.
Should I talk? Should I answer this question?
I think so.
Cool.
Do it.
It's something that I always identify with Gale as he's an extremely passionate character. He's constantly wanting to stand up for what he believes in. For a long time, he's kind of powerless to do so. And through this film, you get to see little bits and pieces of that fight and that want to change the situation he's in. And I think that's something we all identify with these characters. Are you guys having a conversation on your own over here? Sure are. Because I'm talking and I'd like you guys to listen. Listen. Okay? No, I think it's something we all identify with, and I think it's a reason that these stories do so well and so many people connect with them is because young people look up to this. Katniss in particular, she's someone who refuses to change. She refuses to give into this evil force that wants her to be something she's not, and she says no, and regardless of whether it's her life at risk, she's willing to stand up for what she believes in, and it's something that Gale does, it's something that Peter does. It's all these real characters that, enough's enough. It's refusing to give into it. I think that's an important message for a lot of young people. And, I think that's why young girls look up to Katniss, and it inspires them. It gives them courage because they see that they can be themselves and they can stand up for what they can do.
C'era prima il ragazzo lì, poi c'è la ragazza là che si era prenotata. Siete tanti.